What's going on, everyone? We're back in the garage. We are going to be working on a slightly different car than you guys have seen before in the past on this channel. Some of you guys are going to really like it. And I actually almost owned this car for a split second. This is my brother's car. He came into it with a sweet deal from a family friend we know, and here it is. It is an E90 BMW 325i stick shift, so it's a manual transmission, and this is it.
Mike! 11?
So my brother came into this car about a year ago at this point, and when he got it, it had 130,000 miles on it. It's 2006. It's a BMW 325i, so it's a 3.0 inline 6-cylinder BMW. When he got this car, it was completely stock, actually freshly repainted the stock color, which was really nice. Picked it up for $2,500, so it was a steal. Everything was working, nothing was really broken except for the radio was kind of a little weird, but I mean, that's something like that is very easy to take care of. You know, get a replacement part and get an aftermarket part, essentially because you're gonna want an aftermarket stereo in a car that's a little older like this. It is 13 years old, but we have done a few things so far to make it better. My older brother isn't huge into cars like me, so that's probably why you don't see him out here, but he does like his car to look a little cool. So first thing we did was we wrapped his roof black, as you guys can tell right here. I did this about a year ago at this point. So we wrapped his roof black. It still looks really good. We did the antenna black on this car as well. We got a dash cover in there. He actually got it himself. Looks really good. It's actually a super clean dash cover. The dash had a cover before. It's not cracked anymore, but it did have a cover before, and the person that put it on before super glued it to the dash. So there is like super glue marks all over the dash, so that's why it is a necessity that there is a dash cover on this car. But again, if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know, and it does look really good. And it's like going to protect the dash, even though it's kind of already super glued. Here's the rear of the car. I did tinted that out, and left the reverse signal white. In California, if you black out your turn signals, I don't know if it's the same in other states, but in California, you will get in trouble if you black out your turn signals. So we kept those white, so he'd be clear. And it looks really dark, but it shows so much light through it, you wouldn't even know. The car had tint on it too. You got fresh tint all around, everywhere. And the big thing, why we're making the video today, is he wanted to consider changing his wheels up. He wanted new wheels. And these wheels that the BMW comes with, the 325i, are a 16-inch wheel. So what you would have to do is, hey, squad, yo. So instead of getting a completely new wheel, which you would get a bigger wheel and then you'd have to get new tires, we're gonna do something that's a lot cheaper, and will make the car just look a little bit better, push the wheels out a little bit more, and is fairly cheap compared to getting new wheels and tires. Right here we have wheel spacers. Wheel spacers come anywhere from 1 millimeter in space to honestly 50 millimeters in space, which is 2 inches to America. Every 25 millimeters is an inch, and here we have 15 millimeter spacers. The BMW, it's kind of different than other cars. BMW, and I'm sure other brands, kind of like Volkswagen and stuff like that, they use wheel bolts instead of wheel studs. So with the spacer kit, you get these extended wheel bolts, and here are the spacers themselves. These are just 15 mil, so they're not going to push it out crazy wide, but it is going to add a little bit of spice. What's really cool about this are these wheel spacers. You know, they're good quality. They're hub centric to the actual wheel itself, because I got the BMW ones. Basically, I just searched up BMW 2006 325i wheel spacers, and so they came in a pack of 4 with the wheel bolts, and it was only like 60 bucks. You're looking at a new set of wheels, and I'm talking cheap set of wheels. Cheap set of 18-inch wheels, you're looking at it like $600, and to get new tires, because now you're switching up your wheel size to bigger, because that's what you wouldn't run another 16-inch wheel on this kind of car. You'd either go 17 or 18. It just easily would get into the $1,000 mark right away. And this right here, only $60. So it's like a huge benefit, especially if you're not huge into cars like him. He's just like moderately into cars. He just likes the way they look. So this is like a cool little thing he can do to spice it up a little bit without having to spend $1 grand. Honestly, if it was me and I didn't do this for YouTube, and I like wheels, they're super cool, but they're just so much money. And I know some of you guys out there right now are feeling the same way. You're like on the fence. Do I spend $1,000 to get a nice, cheap set of wheels. So $1,000 is still cheap for a set of wheels and tires. It's still very, very cheap. And it's hard to swing sometimes. It's hard to swing that because it's so expensive and you already have wheels on the car. So this is a perfect alternative. Wheel spacers are actually such a cool thing. I just found out about them honestly like 2 years ago. At this point, I've only been in cars for 3 years, and I thought the only thing you could really do to get a more aggressive wheel setup was to get new wheels. But honestly, you can push the stock wheels pretty much all the way to the fenders. We're not going to be doing that today because I don't want him to be rubbing on anything, but you can with wheel spacers. So doing wheel spacers is incredibly easy. You saw me jack the car up, you saw me loosen the lug nuts off, or lug bolts, take the lug bolts off, and simply just put it on. You gotta put the spacer on, kind of like that, you just slip it over. It's hub centric, so it's super good, and you line up the holes. It's literally all it is. So we're gonna put the wheels back on. We're gonna throw the wheels back on right now, put the bolts back in, put it to the ground. And we're gonna see the difference between the two sides. See how much one pokes out versus the other. This is the difference after. You can definitely see the wheel more out here. Now it could definitely go in, honestly, probably another 15 mil from here. Here's what it kind of looks like in here. But it looks good. It looks like how it should from factory instead of being so concave. The front looks actually really, really good in my opinion. Like this is perfect, straight up and down. You can barely see it. It's super, super good. Again, this car isn't lowered in any way. There's no lowering springs. This is stock suspension. And I think it does look a lot better. Here's the rear over here. There is the rear with the side that hasn't been done yet. Here is the front with the side that hasn't been done yet, and the front with the side that has been done. Puts the width out a little bit, makes them look a little sportier, and just gets the job done. It looks so good in my opinion. If you look at like really high-end cars, right, like Z06 Corvettes or 911 Porsches, their wheels are flush with the fenders, and it's just like a good-looking thing. It's like an expensive car-looking thing. Here is what it looks like in the daylight. The paint is so freaking nice on this car. I love it. But again, it's not super aggressive in the back. It's just enough to where before it looked really weird. It looked really weird. I think it could afford another 10, maybe 15 mil spacer. And it's maybe a 10 mil spacer, and then it'd be absolutely perfect. I think the front, for a person that's daily in the car, that's not super into cars or anything like that, stance is really good in the front. I do really like the front. Something we can do in this car in the future is maybe clean up these headlights, sand them down, get them all clear again. But the thing's looking really, really good, especially for 2006. Like, this car is scary clean. So guys, it's literally a couple hours later, and right in front of me I'm looking at a car that I very well could be purchasing here in a second. I don't know whether to do this or not. It's super cool, it's super clean. I think I'm gonna make this in another video from now because I do want to make this strictly on the wheel spacers because this is a super cool product. Just make sure you get the wheel spacer that will fit your car. Try to look on forums, figure out what exactly your car is, like what exact spacer you're going to need. For example, I put wheel spacers on the Mustang about 3 months ago at this point, and they're 25 mil spacers, and I think this looks perfect. So this is a stock ride height on a Mustang. There's no lowering springs, there's no coilovers, there's no bags, no nothing. Stock ride height. And this is a 25 millimeter spacer in the back. Look how freaking perfect that is. And then also a 25 in the front, and it looks really, really good in my opinion. I've told my dad, like, hey, maybe we should get some different wheels for your car. But every time he says that, he always says he likes his stock wheels, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with liking the stock wheels. If you like the stock wheels, that's dope. Just adding a little bit of spacer, so like 60, 70 bucks, just saved him, or potentially, he wasn't gonna get new wheels anyways. Puts the width out a little bit, makes them look a little sportier, and just gets the job done. It looks so good in my opinion. If you look at like really high-end cars, right, like Z06 Corvettes or 911 Porsches, their wheels are flush with the fenders, And it's just like a good looking thing. It's like an expensive car looking thing. So if you want that look without going and getting wheels with perfect offset for your car, you can just go get wheel spacers and make that look happen with your stock wheels or aftermarket wheels if they didn't fit the way you thought they were going to fit. Guys, if you could do me a huge favor right now, go down below, like the video. It took me a long time to make this video, and I'm going to be making more in the future, and it helps me a ton when you guys like the video and you like the content that is coming out. I do appreciate it. If you have any comments, suggestions, anything in the future that you want to see, hopefully the next video or so, we will be showing you this new car that I'm literally looking at through the window right here. Subscribe for more content in the future, and I'm out of here. Peace!
I called you every night for 353 days.